Everybody in general aviation finds nothing good about privatization.
Coming up, the bill that will kill general aviation, what you must do to stop it. Our all-out effort to stop ATC privatization. Plus, make your plans for the next AOPA Fly-In, and it's a classic that could be yours. We reveal the next AOPA Sweepstakes airplane. AOPA Live this week starts in just a moment.
Build and fly with the Sonex aircraft B models. The B models offer more room and comfort, more fuel, more panel space, more engine choices, and the same great Sonex aircraft flight characteristics. Learn more at sonexaircraft.com.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Rudinger.
The bill that could kill general aviation is just days away from a vote. And I'm not exaggerating, folks. You must call your congressman and congresswoman now to stop this bill in its tracks. AOPA Live executive producer Warren Morningstar joins us now to explain why. Warren, is it really this critical?
Tom, it absolutely is. The House of Representatives could vote as early as next week on this bill. And if it passes, it could be devastating for general aviation.
But this will kill us. This is a big deal.
It is the 21st Century Aviation Innovation Reform and Reauthorization Act, or H.R. 2997. Now, the primary goal is very clear: to transfer operation of air traffic services currently provided by the FAA to a separate, not-for-profit corporate entity. And if the bill passes, the results could be dire.
If we should lose this vote next week, we could be up against the beginning of the end of general aviation.
Some 117 general aviation associations and organizations share that opinion. Last weekend, 10 GA leaders trooped out to Tarkio, Missouri to make the point. Now, Tarkio is home to Representative Sam Graves' annual Fly-In, usually a fun-filled tribute to general aviation and warbirds. But this year, Graves' Pilot Town meeting turned into a referendum against privatization.
I do these town halls all over the country, but I have not heard yet from one aviator or aircraft owner that really wants to go privatized and believes a different system is a better system than we have today.
Privatization has some unintended consequences that can be very, very harming to general aviation. And your voices, letting your elected officials know, can maybe stop this in the House.
And not just the association leaders speaking out against the bill. Pilots were vocal too. Ron Rentz flew in Canada before and after privatization there.
Basically killed general aviation. I just came back from a trip to Canada 2 weeks ago. It cost me, for 6 days, it cost me over $600. Now, not all of that was air traffic control, but it's because of what happened to the air traffic control system and the costs of that it's a cascading thing. It's beware of unintended consequences.
And make no mistake, this would be a system by and for the airlines.
The airlines have been trying to seize control of an air traffic monopoly for 20 years. They want to run it for their benefit and everybody else's detriment.
If you're a free market capitalist, it violates every rule about free market capitalism because you're handing public interest over to a monopoly.
And to the argument that business can do a better job than the government running air traffic control?
Remember, if this is going to be an airline-centric model, all of the airlines except for 3 have gone bankrupt.
And don't forget how well some of the airlines have handled their computer systems.
The bill that is expected to reach the House floor in 10 days has the potential to devastate our industry. It has the ability to change general aviation and all aviation in the United States as we know it.
So, Warren, that sounds pretty scary.
It does.
What can AOPA members do?
Pick up the phone and call the office of your representative in Congress right now.
Urgent, very urgently. Make a phone call. It's too late for letters, too late for emails. You got to make a phone call to your congressional office in your home district or down here in D.C. to make sure that they heard you're opposed to this bill.
That's no to H.R. 2997. Now, you can find the telephone number by Googling, "Who is my congressman?"
Mm-hmm. And so why do pilots have to do it now?
Well, it's because the vote is going to happen within the next few days, and we need to get enough votes to kill the bill now.
But the Senate version of the bill does not include privatization, so why can't we just support that?
Well, not to go all Schoolhouse Rock and I am a bill up on the hill with you here, but the if the Senate passes its version, which doesn't have privatization, and the House passes its version, which does have privatization, we then go to conference. And the conferees are some members of the Senate, some members of the House. And conference is a compromise.
Right.
You know, the House members are not going to say, oh, well, you guys don't want privatization, so
Right.
we'll just take it out.
Right.
And there are going to be some things that the senators are going to want. So what comes out of compromise could still be very bad for general aviation, and that's why everybody needs to call right now before the House has a chance to vote on it. We have to kill it now.
Right. Right. Okay. Good advice. So, and it's really not as scary as you might think. I called my member of Congress yesterday, and from a preparation standpoint, you think maybe you've got to be all well briefed and versed on this kind of thing. Not so much. All the person answering the phone wants to know is really what's the name of the bill and what do you want them to do? Well, in this case, it's H.R. 2997. We want them to oppose that bill. So that's the only communication you really need to. You don't need a lot of detail, and the intern answering the phone probably isn't going to take a lot of information other than asking for your address to make sure you live in the district.
Right. I did the same thing with my representative as well. And what's important here is that it be a phone call, because that registers
Right.
much higher with a member of Congress than a form email or a form letter. So make the phone call. It'll only take a few seconds, and it will make a difference.
Right. So if you have more questions, go to our website. That's the place to be to find out all the latest information as this thing moves very quickly, and also to get the details. So that's what you need for now. So in one of the so-called arguments that the airlines use to promote privatization is the claim that the air traffic control system is antiquated and that NextGen is way behind schedule. Well, guess what? None of that is true. Consider ADS-B, the backbone of the modern system. It's already mostly built out. The 49 states have complete coverage, and a good chunk of Alaska now has coverage as well. So if you have ADS-B questions, we're going to be part of a Twitter chat on July 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Use the hashtag ADS-B chat to follow along and ask questions. Okay, now, how's this for a business plan? Intentionally charge way too much for fuel to limit the number of aircraft landing at your airport. As incredible as it seems, that's the reason the owner of OK3 FBO gave for the egregious prices and fees charged at Heber City Municipal Airport in Utah. OK3 is the only FBO on the airport closest to the Park City and Deer Valley resort areas, and Heber City is at the top of the list for AOPA member complaints of overcharging. AOPA is challenging the Heber City Council to fix the problem, including making it easier for a competing business to provide services, particularly to small general aviation aircraft. The letter from AOPA's Chief General Counsel reminded the city that their federal airport grants require fair and non-discriminatory pricing and equal access for all classes of users. The Council has been receptive to AOPA's offers to assist in helping to make services more competitive at the airport. And that response is part of AOPA's ongoing efforts to shine a light on FBOs that charge egregious fees for services that pilots sometimes don't even want. You can report your experiences at aopa.org/FBO Fees. Well, hey, you have an extra $45 million. Your dream airplane is getting closer to delivery. Falcon's huge new 5X flew for the first time. The twin jet has Falcon's biggest cabin yet. The jet will use new Saffron Silver Crest engines. Issues with those engines have stretched out the aircraft's development cycle. Certification tests are now expected next year. And if you're a Cherokee flyer, there's a new AD that may affect your airplane. The FAA issued a final AD that will affect over 23,000 Piper airplanes, mostly Cherokees and Cherokee 6s. The AD clarifies the inspection requirements for owners of airplanes equipped with certain oil cooler hose assemblies. You can find more information on the FAA's Airworthiness Directive websites. Speaking of Pipers, it's probably the most popular Piper of all time, the Super Cub. And guess what? A Super Cub with wheels, skis, and amphib floats is going to be the next AOPA Sweepstakes airplane.
The airplane had a stall spin type accident. It happened on departure. When the airplane hit, it burned, so it's got extensive damage, but definitely rebuildable.
The Super Cub sure isn't much to look at now, but when Roger and Darren Meggers of Baker Air Service in Montana get finished, it'll look a lot like this. Super Cub serial number 1, an Oshkosh Grand Champion. The father and son team have been restoring championship quality Cubs for close to 40 years.
I've been here my whole life. I think I was crawling around on the floor in diapers, but been in helping Dad with the business and for a long time, and enjoy it all.
AOPA approached us about doing a Super Cub that they could give away on their sweepstakes for the next airplane after the 172 is given away. And Darren and I kind of talked it over and thought it would be a fun project for us to do. We want to build a lightweight airplane. It'll be a certified aircraft.
Well, it's going to be much more than just a certified aircraft.
There's a lot of mods available for Super Cubs. We are going to try to use a fair amount of composite materials in this airplane to keep it light. We are using as many titanium products, parts that we can, just for the strength and the lightweight characteristics of it.
Electronic panel, LED lighting, vortex generators. It's going to be some airplane.
Currently, we're hoping to end up with a real nice, high-performance, lightweight airplane.
You can find more about the Sweepstakes Super Cub on our website. When we come back, staying safe on the ground and making your plans for the next AOPA Fly-In.
Brightline, instruments for professionals.
Crosswinds don't just pose a danger on landing, they also can make it difficult to taxi safely. The Air Safety Institute has a new safety tip video about taxi controls. In this short video, you'll learn proper control placement in crosswinds on the ground. The video is the third in the ASI Safety Tip series. You can find it on the Air Safety Institute YouTube channel. This video, like all the free Air Safety Institute materials, are made possible by donations from pilots like you to the AOPA Foundation. You can find out about all the things the Foundation is working on their new website. Please give it a visit. The FAA is doling out more than $500 million to go toward improving airports around the country. Airports are awarded fixed annual amounts based on traffic volume with additional funds for bigger projects. The grants range from a few $1,000s to several million. One notable project is funding to finish a new airport in Sioux Center, Iowa that will replace 2 existing airports. Hey, want to improve flight training across the country? We want to hear your thoughts. All you have to do is take our flight training experience survey. You can take it if you've had any flight training in the past 12 months, including a flight review. Another bonus, when you take the survey, you'll have a chance to enter to win some great aviation prizes. Oshkosh may have the spotlight right now, but not long after that is the next AOPA Fly-In. Make your plans now to join us in Norman, Oklahoma. That fly-in is September 8th and 9th. AOPA Live's Paul Harrop tells us there's plenty to do.
As a native Okie, I'm partial, but Norman is a really cool town. In the heart of the heartland lies a college town where the only thing bigger than OU Sooner football is the science of severe weather. At the AOPA Fly-In to Norman, you will be able to tour the National Weather Center. That's home to the Storms Prediction Center, the National Severe Storms Laboratory, and other high-level meccas for the weather nerd. You'll be able to learn from the experts in an aviation weather workshop on Friday. If vorticity and cape values don't get your brain storming, there's no rain on your parade. Perhaps you'd like to learn more about owner maintenance. We've got Adrian Eichhorn, Paul New, and the Mike Busch on hand to walk you through taking care of your own airplane. These are engine and airframe experts. People who spent the day with them at previous fly-ins say it's a great opportunity.
Explain the hows and whys and many details of what can go wrong and why, and the subtleties of wiring an oil filter, the concept of TBO and why it's not fixed in stone, and when you should get your engine overhauled and when you shouldn't.
We hope you'll make your plans to be there. It's an easy airport to fly into, just a short hop from DFW, a reasonable cross-country from Albuquerque, Kansas City, Memphis, or even Denver. In Norman, Oklahoma, Paul Harrop, AOPA Live.
You can find everything you need to make your plans, plan your flights, and register for the Friday workshops on our website. Hope to see you there. And that'll do it for us this week. Thanks so much for giving us a bit of your time. Hope to see you back here next Thursday for another edition of AOPA Live This Week.
The pilots who fly with AOPA Insurance. They love flying and saving money, just like you. At AOPA Insurance, we understand how you fly and provide the coverage you need to keep on flying. Call for a free quote and see which AOPA insurance plan is right for you.